It's really nice to have the strong but mighty crew here in the room and here on Zoom. Ah, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Our candles are still going a little bit. All right. So we're going to turn to page 10. Yedi nefesh
harachaman mishochav eritzona yarutach kemo ayal yishachafeh mul hadarach ki yarol yedudutach minotov bechol ta'am Adonai ziv ha'olam nafshi cholat avata ana elna rifanala beharod la noam tivach az titchaseh v'titrafeh v'haytalach shivchat olam batik yemu rachamecha v'chusna amohavach ki zekama nichsov limot b'tiferet uzach ana eli machmad libi chushana betitalam hilalena fos haviv elai etzukat sheloma ta'ir eretz nikvoda nagila dagnis mechalach me'ahu kiva moed bechonini ki me'olam lai 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 la 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 la
Turn to page 11. Lehu niranena l'Adonai
Ishenu Lekadma Fanav Betoda Bismirot Nariyalo
Yel Gadol Adonai Melech Gadol HaKol Elohim Ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amarito v'tzon yato hayom imukalo tishba'u. Bottom of page 12.
Arba'im Shana Akut Beto Ba'omar Am Toei Levahem Lo Yadu Drachai Asher Nishbati Ve'amrihi Im Yavohun El Menufati Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Ladonai Baruchu Shemo Basru Miyom Le'yom Yeshuato Safru Vagoyim Kivodo Bechol Ha'amim Nifleotai Ki Gadol Adonai Umilal Meod Norahu Al Kol Elohim Kekol Elohei Ha'amim Elim Ve'Adonai Shamayim Masa Chod Ve'Hadar Lefanav Oz Ve'Tiferet Be'Mikdasho Havul Adonai Mishpachot Amim Havul Adonai Kavod Va'oz Havul Adonai Kevod Shemo Sehu Mincha Uvo Lichatzrotav Ishtachavu Ladonai Behadra Kodesh Chilu Mipanav Kol Haaretz Imru Vagoyim Adonai Malach Aftikon Tevel Baal Timot Yadinamim B'Mesharim Yismechu Hashamayim Betagel Haaretz Yiram Hayam Umelo Yalo Sadai Bechol Asher Bo Az Yiranenu Kolat Seyar Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishbot Haaretz Yishbot Tevel Betzedek Behamim Be'amunato Yanai Nanai Nanai Yanai Nanai Nanai Ay, 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 Adonai Malach Tagil Haaretz Anan Varfel Saviva Tzedek Umishpat Melchon Kiso. I'm going to go ahead and turn all the way to page 20, down at the bottom. O
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Vehishtachavu Lehar Kodsho Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Vehishtachavu Lehar Kodsho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Vehishtachavu Lehar Kodsho Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Vehishtachavu Lehar Kodsho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. We'll rise on page 21. Mismor LeDavid Havul Adonai B'nei Elim Havul Adonai Kavod Va'oz Havul Adonai Kivod Shemo Ishtachau Adonai V'Hadrat Kodesh Kol Adonai Ha'amayim El Kavod Hirim Adonai Al Mayim Rabim Kol Adonai Bakoa Kol Adonai B'Hadar Kol Adonai Shover Arazim V'Shaber Adonai Et Arzei Halvanon V'Yarkitem Kemo Egel Levanon V'Sirion Kemo Bein Rehemi Kol Adonai Chotzet Lavotesh Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh Kol Adonai Yachol Elayalot Vayachesov Ye'arot U'echalo Kulo Omer Kavod Adonai Lama Yashav Yeshev Adonai Melech Le'olam Adonai Le'yamayiten Adonai Yivarech et Amo V'Shalom Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. You can take a seat. Anna bekoach gedulat yemincha Tatir terura kabel rinatamcha sakbeinu tareinu nora Anna bekoach gedulat yemincha yemincha tatir terura kabel rinatamcha sakbeinu tareinu nora Anna bikoach gedulat yamincha tatir terura kabel rinat amecha sagbeinu tareinu nora Ay da 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 ay da da ay da 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 ya da 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 ay 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 yo ay 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 da da ay da 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 ay da 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 ay da 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 So just before we began the service tonight, Rabbi Ellen and I were talking, and she was telling me a little bit about a friend of hers who had a really rough week, bout of illness and car troubles, and a son who's really struggling, and throughout it all, this person was like, but I'm okay. And there's a way sometimes I think that we say we're okay, and you ask how somebody is, and they say, I'm okay, and things are not okay. What she was saying is really marveling at how this person really seemed to actually be able to say, despite it all, I'm actually okay. Like, thank God, my doctors figured out what's going on. I got the treatment I needed, car, it's just money. Thank God we have the resources we need. My son, has been through this before, so he's going to get through it again. And I'm okay. And just struck me as such an incredible example. We're just talking about gratitude and just like remarkable human resilience to be able to, in the midst of the swirl, in the midst of everything falling apart, to just be able to say in this one moment, maybe not 5 minutes ago, maybe not 5 minutes from now, but in this one moment, I'm okay. I'm okay. So before we sing L'Chadodi, just want to invite you to check in with wherever you're at right now. Maybe close your eyes if it's helpful. Maybe take a breath. And just see, even if all of you isn't okay right now, even as you welcome in the parts that are really struggling. I had a meditation teacher who once said, is the tip of your elbow okay? Like, maybe there's one part of you that's like, oh, that part is not hurting. That part is okay. And can we just, at least over Shabbat, give ourselves a little space to hold the okay and the not okay together and allow them to soften one another? As we sing L'Chadodi and welcome in Shabbat, just inviting in whatever space you need to make. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Hishmiyanu el ha-meichad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem tiferet v'litila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat tefila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitzehi mitoch hafecha rav lach shevet behem ekabecha vehu yachamo alaychem la lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela Hitari mehafarkumi lishibigde tifartachami al yad beishai beitalachmi korva el nafshi ge'ala lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela Hitoreri kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi kivod Adonai alayich nikla lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela Lo teboshi velo tikalmi matishtochachi umatahemi bach yechesuf ani yami benivneta iratila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela V'hailim shiso shosai V'rachaku komil alai Yasis alai Elai Kimsos chatan Al kala lecha dodi Likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela Yaminu smol tifroti B'yet Adonai taritzi Al yarish ben parti ben ismecha ben agila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala
P'nei Shabbat, P'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Boi v'shalom, Ateret bala, Gam besimcha u'betola. To'emunei am segula, boi kala, olecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabla, olecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat, P'nei Shabbat nekabla. P'nei Shabbat, P'nei Shabbat nekabla. P'nei Shabbat, P'nei Shabbat nekabla.
Take a seat and turn to page, first actually to page 26. I want to say to David and to Don, especially to David, Hamakom Yenachem Etchem B'toch Sha'ar Avelei Tzion B'Yerushalayim. May the one who is in this place give you comfort along with all mourners. David just lost his brother, Sergio, this past Saturday morning, and we send you all both so much love. Turn to 27. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Tolehodot l'Adonai, Tolehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tolehodot l'Adonai, Tolehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Olehagid b'boker, boker chasecha, ve'emunacha b'leilot. Olehagid b'boker, boker chasecha, ve'emunacha b'leilot. Alei hasur ve'alei navel. Tzadikata amar yivach, keheres balvanon yizkar, shetulim bebeit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafri. ישנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא הבלטה בו. אדוני מלך גלבש מקולות מים רבים אדירים משברי העם אדיר במרום אדוני עדותיך נמנו מאוד לביתך נא בקודש אדוני לאורך ימים. Shabbat shalom, everyone. So this is sort of the time of year for many people of reunions, Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and travel in some ways to be with family, whether planned or unplanned. And it's been really, I've had a lot of conversations with folks over this past week, in particular, who are really struggling right now because reunions and plans that they've anticipated for a long time are not coming to pass, particularly people who had planned to travel to Israel around this time of year and are really, plans were totally upended with the border closures, with the new variant, and people with bat mitzvahs that were supposed to happen at the Kotel with Rabbi Analia now having to totally change their plans, and seeing family and hoping to still be able to see family, and just up in the air. And this is just hard. There's no way around this. This is just hard. And there is a little bit of space in this parsha, I think, to talk about the nature of reunions, the reunions that have been anticipated and the reunions that we thought would never happen, that came after a very, very long time. But before we dive into the parsha, I just want to invite you for a moment to think of a memory of a reunion, maybe a memorable reunion that you had at one point with somebody that you love. It could be good memorable, could be not so good memorable, could be challenging, but just take a moment, bring to mind some image of reunion. So, of course, the reunion that we witness in this week's Parsha in Vayigash is the incredibly poignant reunion between Joseph and his father Jacob. And leading up to this moment, Jacob has gotten word before this Parsha begins that his son that he hasn't seen in 22 years is still alive. The son that he thought had died is still alive. And it says in the Torah that his heart is numb. He's speechless in this moment. He can't believe what his sons are telling him. And then he says, as soon as he revives himself, he says, we have to get there. We have to go down to Egypt. We have to leave Canaan and go down to Egypt and be there because I can't spend another minute without my son. And in the meanwhile, the beginning of this Parsha, Joseph finally reveals his identity to his brothers, who didn't know that he was the grand vizier of Egypt. And their reunion is full of tears. Joseph falls on the neck of his brothers, and he's crying, and they're crying, and it is just like a swirl of tears and emotion. I'm sure both love and regret and struggle, and it's just like a messy mosh pit of all these brothers just like loving on one another. But then when Jacob makes it down. It's interesting because the text is deceptive here. It says, so Joseph gets word that Jacob, his father, has made it to Egypt, and Joseph harnesses his chariot and he goes up to meet Israel, his father, to Goshen, and he shows up. And then it says, and it's ambiguous who we're talking about here. The text says, and he fell on his neck and he wept on his neck for a long time. We don't know who the he is. And so some commentaries think the person weeping here is Jacob, which would make a lot of sense. The father that hasn't seen his son in this long is just weeping. But Rashi thinks that the person weeping here is Joseph. It's Joseph who's crying. And Rashi says something very funny and very strange. He says, Jacob is almost stoic in this moment. It says Jacob didn't fall on Joseph's neck, and he didn't kiss him, and he didn't cry. What he was doing in this moment was he was saying the Shema. Very bizarre. This almost sounds like one of these strange rabbinic comments, like, oh, he knew it was 7:42 p.m., time to say the Shema, so Jacob in his holiness saying the Shema. I find that very hard to buy. You haven't seen your son in 22 years and you're going to say, wait, I got to say the Shema? No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But there's another commentary that explains what's going on here. Because of course, in reunions, emotions are complicated. Sometimes it is this outpouring and flood, and sometimes it's hard to access emotion. And so this is a commentary that I just think is so emotionally astute from the 19th century Orthodox Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch. And it was brought by a teacher of mine, Rabbi Aaron Lieb Smokler, who says, what if Jacob's dry eyes in this moment and his lack of tears were not emblems of stoic sublimation, sublimating his emotions, pressing down what he's feeling, but rather indicators of emotional exhaustion? So here's what Rabbi Hirsch says. He says, Joseph cried, but Jacob no longer cried. Jacob had already finished crying because, in fact, Jacob has been crying for the last 22 years. Jacob, every moment we see him almost, he's mourning and he's rending his garments and he's saying, I've been bereaved this entire time. And so Hirsch says that this grief ruled his life. But Joseph's life, Joseph, on the other hand, has not dealt in his own grief for what he has lost, the life, the childhood he didn't get, the relationship with his brothers and his fathers that he never got. He hasn't dealt with any of that. He's been, living this very high-end life in Egypt, and before that in the prison in Egypt, and he hasn't had 1 minute to actually stop and just feel what he's feeling. And only now, at this moment, when he finally falls on his father's neck, did he feel the agony of that separation, and he relived all of these 22 prior years. So this is so poignant. This is so poignant because essentially they are having two equally human responses to reunion. One person who finally says, I can rest after so much emotional upheaval. I can finally, and this is what he says actually in the very next verse. Jacob says, I can die now because my whole heart's wish has finally been fulfilled. And Joseph, who goes on crying because he needs to process through all of that pain that has been with him, but stored and locked inside for so long. So what do we do with this? I think so often we judge our emotions. We think, especially with grief, that we're not doing it right, or that we're supposed to be crying, or we're supposed to be keeping a straight face, or whatever the should is. And I think both our ancestors, Jacob and Joseph, are giving us these models that there's no one way to grieve. There's no one way to reunite. And in this moment, all we can do is just allow whatever is true to come forward and to create a space to hold it. and that it is actually in that moment of reunion, in that moment of seeing and being seen, that we can give each other permission to be who we truly are. And so I want to bless us in this season which I think is hard for many reasons, but for so many people is a season of loss and a season of memory and a season of nostalgia and wistfulness, and also hope and emerging newness, that we too can give ourselves permission and give one another permission to love and to feel, and to not hide from what we feel. So Shabbat Shalom. And there's a song that I wanted to sing, some of you may know, by the late, great Debbie Friedman. The words are, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joy." So if you know it, sing along. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. That's the whole thing. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. So we'll rise for Baruch Hu on page 39. Ay, 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 oh. Baruch Hu et Adonai mevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You can be seated. Asher kilam hasa b'yom hashvi. You completed your work of creation on this seventh day, the holy Shabbat, and you gave this day of rest in all its holiness to your people. Umavir yom umeivi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Haravi. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael,
עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, באורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם בלילה, יומם בלילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובפומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. והיה אם שמות תשמעו למצוותיי אשר אנוכי מצווכם היום. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, ויאמונה כל זאת וקיים עלינו. Continuing on page 43. Please listen. On the top of 44. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לחנו שירה ושמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקר לפני משה, זה יהיה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, קהל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו Spread over us and all of our loved ones a shelter of peace, a sukkah of peace. Invite you to call to mind any names of people that you're praying for tonight who are in need of healing. You can just whisper them out loud. Zipporah bat Golda, Moshe ben Golda, Yitzchak Refuah ben Arav Shlomo Feivel, Ahuva bat Yaakov, Arena Devorah, Chana Riva bat Yudit v'Chaim Beryl, Deborah Witzfellow, Itai ben Yitzchak Levi, Chaim ben Yaakov Arezel, David ben Rivka Gula, Miriam bat Brenda, Simcha David, Shoshana Penina, Shoshana bat Abraham, Lois Kravitz, Eric Kitzer, Ruben, Gary Snyder, Shevach ben Yechatzkel Lev, Jovik Alea, Stephen Goldberg, Josh Lev, Yamatzi ben Hadassah of Abraham. Ushmor tzeitenu vo'enu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata v'ad olam uvros aleinu sukat shlomecha baruch ata Adonai haborei sukat shalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We rise for V'shamru on page 46. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם עדי עדי ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ועמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכונו יומכון וחיי תכו בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב במהרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך והלכו לו מעמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודש בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ויעלמה במהרו אמן. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Say shalom bimromav. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Amen. Turn to Kaddish Shalem on page 54. Yitkaral v'yitkara shemei Rabba ve'alma tivrach yirtei v'yamlich machutei v'chayachon v'yamechon chayedacho beit Yisrael bagala b'isman kari v'meru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'alam ulo me'amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei kodesha. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran v'yama v'meru.
Amen.
Tikabat zon hoduvarchon d'cho Yisrael kodam uvon v'yishmaya v'meru.
Amen.
Yehi shlam Rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'ko Yisrael v'meru.
Amen.
Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'ko Yisrael v'ko yoshvei tevel v'meru.
Amen.
Aleinu, page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tei gedula l'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu k'chol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz
Moshav
Yikaro b'shamayim imal u'shchinatu zo b'kovei meromim hu Eloheinu einon emet malkeinu efesulato kakatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mimal v'al haaretz mitachatenu einod al ken nekavel lacharmen v'takin olam b'malchot shaddai. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד,
ושמו אחד.
Turn to Mourner's Kaddish on page 58. And we want to send love to David and Dawn as they're saying Kaddish for David's brother, Sergio, and also to Stan and to Judy, Rabbi Judy Beiner, as Judy's saying Kaddish, the loss of your father. This Shabbat, we're remembering the artsites of Jonathan Lee Bookman, Rylan Foster Gelb, Robert Levine, Milton Perling, Stephen Throne, John Vogel, and Naomi Zipporah Walker. Yisi Zichronam Livracha. May all their memories be blessings. Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich machutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'bizman kari v'yimaru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei omaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvechata v'nehmata, tamiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'imru.
Amen.
May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace for all of us on earth, for all Israel, for all humankind. And we say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So Shabbat Shalom. There's more people than I thought tonight on this cold, dreary, misty December evening. So Heather is going to give us some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. If it's not loud enough, it's because I'm not in the booth turning it up. Can't be in two places at once. But tomorrow night is movie night here at 7 p.m. No. You got him. Yes. I'm reading last week's, or how to show it, because I couldn't find this week's. Okay. Yes. Sunday morning at 10 a.m. to 1 a.m., we are having the final gathering of the winter clothing for our winter clothing drive. You can drive by, drop off. Volunteers will be here to take things out of your car. Volunteers will also be here sorting the clothes. We have a lot of clothes, so go team. I was in the storage room today, and there are bags and bags and bags, but we can still use more. So bring those by Sunday between 10 and 1. Rabbi Lauren's Judaism for the Perplexed comes back this Wednesday on Zoom or in person at 7. Yes, 7 o'clock. And so what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about God.
We're talking about God.
And this is not in there, but I'm teaching the same class in an earlier session for the Machon Chadash parents.
She is teaching it at 5 o'clock?
At 5:30.
5:30.
So if you want the early shift, come at 5:30 to 6:45. If you want the later shift, if it's the same class.
Same class. Excellent.
Yes.
So I can do it while I'm here for Machon Hadash and then go. All right. Unless you've got something else, that's all I have.
Sorry, still have not learned how to use this. Okay. So I do have one thing. I want to invite up Hannah Feldstein to come forward. So this is really special and also very poignant. Hannah is making Aliyah this coming week. So Hannah spent last year in Israel on Nativ, and her brother Sam is there on Nativ right now, and came to the conclusion over spending, it's been a long process in the making, but the moment is finally here. You fly on Wednesday on the Nefesh B'Nefesh flight. So this is very, very exciting, and she'll make our home base at Kibbutz Lavi up north, the Garin Sabar kibbutz. So very exciting. So since you're with us tonight, before you make Kiddush, I want to give you a special Mishaberach. There is, I think, a special Mishaberach for people making Aliyah, but this is for people traveling to Israel. And so this is going to say, go in peace and return whenever it's right in peace. And we hope, God willing, that your family gets to also go with you in peace. We'll see what the most current plans, updates are. Not so good. A little iffy. Okay. All right. Well, come on, Israel, get it together. All right. For you. Misha berach avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, ve'imotenu Sarivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et Chana bat Rachmiel v'Ariela, she'omeret linsoa le'eretz kodshenu. Yehi ratzon שהנסיעה הזאת תחזק באהבת ארץ ישראל, ותהיה חוויה מקור ברכה, והתחזקות הקשר בינה לבין עם ישראל ומורשת ישראל, כמו שכתוב, יברכך אדוני מציון וראה בטוב ירושלים. צאתך לשלום ובואך לשלום, V'nomar, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Hannah, who is about to journey to our Holy Land and make a home there and complete this mitzvah of making Aliyah in this time and in our day. May this journey strengthen your love of the land and your love of the Jewish people and your love of the state of Israel. May it be a source of blessing, strengthening you. May you go in peace. May you return in peace. And we say, Amen. Amen. Very excited for you. So we will rise and make Kiddush on page 55.
I was going to bring it to you.
Thank you.
It's all yours.
Thank you. Savri, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hakafet. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uratzon hinchi lanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zehicher litziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchatanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim. So pull your loved ones in close or send blessing out to one another in this kila, virtual and here in this space. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichoneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you safe and healthy. May God shine God's face on you and be gracious to you. May God lift up their face toward you and grant you peace.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.